Hi everyone and welcome to the Free Range Diva. As promised, because September is my birthday month, I said that I would do a Q&A and I asked you all to leave me questions and you did. And because there were so many, I think we should just jump right into it, not belabor this, and stick around to the end because there's going to be an announcement about a giveaway. Okay, let's go. So several of you asked, Renata, Wendy, Tasha asked how and when I became interested in natural skincare, clean living, green beauty, etc. So I do have a couple of videos where I talked about a large, massive allergic reaction that I had in 2014 that caused me to have to stop using everything that I was using before. All personal care products. I had to completely learn to eat a different way because my allergy was to corn and its derivatives, and I was touch sensitive. So since I had to throw everything out anyway and start over, I figured I would first start with things that I knew were not going to irritate my skin. So for example, I think the first cleanser that I used was honey. So I had friends who were dermatologists and had given me all kinds of lotions to try. All of them burned my skin on contact. And so what I found that I was able to use to moisturize my skin was a combo of sunflower oil and beef tallow. Tallow that I actually got from a farmer, a rancher rather, who offered to render it out for me. And I said, no, I'll just get that part of the liver, I forget what it's called, and do it myself. Not the liver, spleen, whatever it is. That little part of the beef that you get the rich fat from, and that changed my life. I was able to use that. I used it for a year, I think, and so yeah, that kind of started my curiosity as far as green, clean beauty, because I needed something that would not only irritate my skin, but that would actually heal it, which I found in the green clean. I mean, you can't get much cleaner than honey and beef tallow, right? I also had several of you ask me about living in Hawaii, wanting to know what that was like. And someone asked, well, we'll get to that. I'm from Los Angeles and had never lived outside of the state. And I found myself in the throes of a really severe depression. It was one of those situations where at one point I was suicidal. However, I ended up in therapy, and my therapist, one of the things that she had me do was to put together what we now call a vision board. But at the time she said, get a binder and start cutting out pictures from anywhere, magazines, books, anything that you have or that you can get a hold of, and cut out pictures of things that interest you, that that look like they're fun or interesting or something you might want to do. The idea was to get me to start looking at life, at living life for something else other than not being stuck in the situation I was in at the time. And so every week I'd bring my little binder and we'd look at those pictures, and it became pretty clear that I wanted to be in the tropics. I needed to get where there was greenery, and I ended up in Hawaii. While there, I supported myself with my camera. I was a camera girl who took pictures of tourists at events and restaurants and things like that. And I lived in an area called Makiki, Manoa, if you're familiar with that part of Honolulu. It was beautiful, lush, green, and just what I needed. I was there for 2 years, and in terms of being just healthy for my soul, and it gave me a chance to being away from family and friends and their expectations. I really got a chance to learn about me, like what my expectations were and what I really wanted for myself and who I was. Because prior to that, I didn't know. I just knew that other people would, whatever people were doing, that's what I did, and if I did something and friends or a family member would be like, oh no, you don't do that. It just kind of quashed. I my soul in terms of me trying to figure out what I did like and what I wanted. And so being away for those 2 years was probably the most healing, healthy, and smartest thing I ever did. As far as the actual living, I remember it being very expensive, but I worked at night, and I was able to work on commission and tips, and so I did really well and was able to support myself very well while I was there. Came back because it just seemed like that period was over and that it was time to move on to something else. So Elizabeth Elliott had several questions. She wanted to know if I had children. I do not. Where I was born here in Los Angeles. And then she wants to know about acting. She says, what kind of acting, drama, comedy, etc. do you or did you enjoy the most, and why? And how do you feel you best express yourself as an actor through what types of roles? And do you enjoy doing accents, and can you do some of them well? Okay, so let's just talk about, I have a master's degree in theater. I lived in New York and worked the theater. I did acting while I was there. I worked on stage. I did some television. And as far as the process or what acting, for me, acting has always been about the sharing of ideas and action. It's like, what are you doing, and what does that say about you, and what is it that you want? So for me, it didn't. If I was doing a drama, I would always look for humor in that character's story somewhere. If I was doing a comedy, and one of my favorite roles was I did a British farce, but even in a strong comedic play and a strong comedic role, you have to find the tragedy in that character, because a lot of times we at least the way that I interpreted roles is that from a human perspective, when we are dealing with something really rough, one way that we deal with it is we make jokes, we make light of it. I always look for the humor in the character, and I always look for vulnerability in the character. These are things that I know that I can deliver. Anything on stage is always going to be my favorite form of communication, because it is a two-way communication. Actually, it's three ways, because it's you, your fellow actors, and all of that rehearsal process that went into that role and creating the play. And then there's the audience. And I can remember I was in London and I saw this play called The Chagrin. And it's, again, it was a comedy. And it had like heroes and villains and dastardly, deeds and people that are saved, and the damsel that's saved. Actually, the damsel in that is pretty darn strong, but you get the idea. Anyway, there was one point in that show, and it had the most incredible set I'd ever seen, but there was one point in that show where the villain comes out on stage and the audience immediately started booing, and the actor, as soon as the booing started, he stopped, and then he shot the audience this evil look, and everyone just stopped. It was hysterical, and started laughing and applauding. And that's I love that. I remember I did a Shakespeare play called All's Well That Ends Well, and the character that I played is sort of this Empress Dowager, strong woman. She has no time for anybody, and she takes no prisoners, and she says what she means and does what she does. And she has a servant who is supposed to be there to her fool, to lighten the mood and help her, see the lighter side of things. And she is always yelling, and not yelling, but just like this with him. And at one point in Act 3, she just tells him off and sends him off to do her bidding, to do whatever she wants. And I turned, as he's leaving, and he has his back to me and he can't see, I turned and looked at the audience and just kind of smiled at him. And the audience, every night, they were just like, yay! And that is what I mean. Nothing is ever one thing. People are everything. And that's how I approach, roles in my acting. So there you go. Speaking of, Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's all I'm going to say. Next. Okay, next is from Rebecca's Reviews. Advice would be my question. What you think a successful marriage should be and what to do when your marriage is failing. Oh boy. I'm going to imagine that, Rebecca, you are one of my closest friends asking me this question because I have been married. I was married for 10 years, and our marriage ended in divorce when the reasons that at least I married were no longer viable. I married someone who was a good friend and with whom I could be with 24/7 and not be bored. I was interested in two people coming together and working together to form one life, being on the same page about the big things. Obviously, you're not going to be on the same page about everything, but at some point, somewhere around year 8, something was said that made me realize that he was no longer interested in that he was more interested in his direction that he wanted to go in life as opposed to what we wanted to go. So it kind of dragged on probably longer than it should have, but eventually we did divorce, and it was completely, by that point I was, my father had gotten sick. I'd had to come back to California anyway, and it just seemed like it just fizzled out. There were not any hard, bad feelings or anything like that. It just clearly wasn't working anymore. I think that if I was talking to a friend who'd asked me this, I would say always, always, always keep the lines of communication open. If you're lucky, you marry someone who's your friend and who you love and respect, and that respect will only grow over the years. But I'm an only child. Did I mention that? So for me, default was I'm quite comfortable just turning inward and putting up a veil in front of myself. I'm perfectly happy doing that way, keeping people a little bit at an arm's distance. But you can't do that in a marriage. It's got to be the two of you, and you've got to learn, you've got to work together, and the only way you can work together is if you talk. And so if I would have one thing to say is just keep talking and talking and talking it through. I know it can be difficult, but ultimately, if it's your best shot, I think. And for those of you who have been married for years and years and years and are happy and have a successful marriage, please jump in here in the comments below and give us the benefit of your wisdom, how you did it. Okay, Celestial Soul wants to know, what are your thoughts on dating after 60? So the first thought that enters my mind is there's a lot more at stake when you're in our age group. You have, not only do you have a lifetime of experience, but you may have relationships, kids from a previous marriage. There's monetary, money is at stake in terms of, do you have wealth or what you have accumulated over the years. There's your health that you really want to preserve. So I, having said all that, I would love to live out the rest of my life with, someone that I could call the love of my life. I mean, I'm a romantic at heart. I don't think I've ever found that in a human, but sometimes, just companionship and caring and respect can go a really long way. And so I think dating now, now it's just impossible. I can't, because of my living situation, I live with my mother and I take care of her. And as she gets older, she becomes even more clingy, attached, controlling, because she's afraid that someone's going to come in and swoop me away from her, and that will be that. So in order to keep my sanity, anytime that I have any, friendship or whatever with a man, I do it away from here. But as of right now, there isn't really anybody in my life that I would consider a life partner. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, you gotta be more discriminating. You've got to be careful and know exactly what it is you want, and hopefully you'll find it. Tasha wants to know, did you ever own pets? Yeah. Those of you who have been me for a long time know about Duffy. And so, yeah, because I know Kathy, Cat Mama 55, also wanted to know if I would ever consider having another pet. Duff and I were together for 16 years, and as I said in the video when he first passed, it was in 2018, I have had dogs before, but this little animal was just different. It was as if he were an extension of my soul, as if he were everything I am in four-legged fur form. I always used to joke that he had a 30-word vocabulary, because if he wanted something, he would walk right up to me, look at me, and I would say, "Show me." And he would take off and show me whatever it was that he wanted. If he would go to his water dish and put his nose on the bowl if I had forgotten to give him water and it was empty. If he wanted to go outside, he'd go bang on the door to go outside. I mean, whatever it was. There was one morning, I'd given him a bath the day before and taken off his collar, and I always called it his necklace. And I was going to take him on a walk. I had the leash, and he was ready to go, but I could not find the collar. And I looked all over the house, upstairs, downstairs, my room, the bathroom, back and forth. Finally, I sat down, and he's following me around the whole time. And I sat down on the bed, and I looked at him, and I said, "Duffy, I can't take you on your walk because I can't find your collar. Can you find it?" And he walked over to, there was a chair sitting to my left that had clean laundry from the day before sitting in it that I hadn't folded up. And he walked over to a shirt and put his nose on the shirt. I lifted the shirt up, and there was his collar. And he was just perfect. He was a perfect little, even in his attitudes and his, like the time we were in Albuquerque at a motel, and I was packing up the car, and I didn't close the door all the way because I didn't want to have to keep using the card key. He was inside, pushed the door open, left, and, I had to find him. I, of course, did find him. He was accosting some other woman in the parking lot, but yeah, I mean, I could go on. So to answer that question, yes, I did have pets, and it's going to be a while before I will have, more than likely, once I'm no longer in this living situation, because I cannot see myself potty training or any kind of training a dog in a house with 3 stories, to get from here to outside is just too much. It's too much work. So yeah, at some point, maybe. Let's see, clean living, lifestyle. Oh, here's one from My Life Wendy, which is an awesome question. Do you still talk to whomever was your best friend growing up? And she talks about how she lost her best friend a few years ago. Yes. Yes. In fact, you have met her if you, she lives in Tucson. So if you recall my Tucson vlog, she made an appearance in it. Yeah, we have known. In fact, my birthday, she sent me a card reminding me of when we were in our, oh God, how old were we? Maybe, yeah, right. It was right after college. That's right. It's the summer after college. We did a Thelma and Louise trip across country, and man, It was nuts, but it was, yeah, we still talk. We talk all the time. We've known each other since we were 15. I don't know anyone from childhood. I don't have any friends from, like really young, but yeah, she's probably my oldest and dearest friend. Oh yeah. Okay, so Jenny Lukacs, I think. Do you still order any Diva brand products? I noticed you used them before. Was wondering what your favorite was from them. Yeah, no, I cannot. Yes, I do have a lot of videos about Diva on the channel, and I'm going to have to take them down because they have reformulated their line. A lot of their products that I used went away. Almost all of the ones that I did use have been reformulated, so I don't know what their products are like anymore. So I can't, I mean, I use their cleanser still, but it's from the old formula. So I don't have any of their new formula products to be able to recommend or not recommend. Sorry. T. Riggs, how can a woman balance career, family, self-care, and what supplements are you currently taking? You're not going to. That's all I can tell you. When it comes to that elusive balancing of all those things, it just doesn't happen. Sometimes, you're going to be leaning well into the work, and then hopefully you will get to a point where you can pull back on that a little and push more in the self-care or in the family direction. But honestly, it's just not going to happen. It's, when you have so much on your plate, something is always going to have to give, and hopefully it won't be the same thing every single time. When it comes to family, it is important to stay, in communication. Like I was saying about marriage, that helps a lot. And then just don't beat yourself up when you're just not there all the time, when you're just not available to your work or your family or even yourself all the time. I mean, that's just the reality of the world in which we live in. And it would be great if we could, just exist in that world without help. I'd say that's number two. If you can get help, that whether it's extended family or professional in-home help, someone that can help you with that balance would also be great. Okay, so Colleen Berry wants to know, hi Colleen, she's been around forever. What is your favorite thing you like about being a content creator on YouTube? Are there any brands or products that are on your wish list? And if you could change anything about your life, what would you change? And what is the greatest gift you've ever been given? Holy crap. Okay. Favorite thing I like about being a content creator is having an outlet to express myself and getting a chance to interact with you guys on the other side of the camera. Yeah, the rest of it is just, kind of business. Those are my two pleasure things. There are no brands or products on my wish list right now. Let's see. If you could change anything about your life, what would you change, and what is the greatest gift you've ever been given? If I could change anything, it would probably be my location. I do not like living in Los Angeles. I would love to live pretty much anywhere else. I've never liked living here. It just doesn't fit my personality or who I am, and I find it very constricting. And then the greatest gift I've ever been given. I've been given a lot of gifts, but I think learning or being in the spiritual realm when I am not in control of my life, and I can tell that God or the whatever you believe in, that there is something else or someone else who is. There are times in my life where things have just been awful, and then suddenly things start falling into place, and suddenly things are changing constantly. It's like when I was able to go back to school to get my master's degree. I wasn't interested in going back to school. I was dating a guy who wanted to get into this program, and so he had me help him with his audition, and then he said, come with me. You come on audition too. So I came in there, I walked in, I threw together an audition the night before. I threw together a monologue, I think. Walked in the door, And at the time, it's interesting. I was living in Van Nuys and really, like needing a change, probably needing a change from that relationship too, although we are still friends. Yeah, the night before I put together a quick monologue, walked in, did it, and expected to walk out just like I normally did. And the head of the department said, "Hold on, what are you doing? Do you want to be in this program? Do you really want to be in this program?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Because we can offer you a full scholarship, and if you agree, you're in." Nothing like that has ever happened to me before or since. And everything from that point on just fell into place. I was able to quickly sell my car, got out of my lease, got someone who helped me drive a rental car back to Alabama, which is where I was in school. I mean, all of it just fell into place like you wouldn't believe. And that has happened at other periods in time of my life. And so those are the times that I really love my life. I feel like I am, so grateful and in awe of the power of the Creator and the universe when you're in that flow, when it just when something in life kind of takes you over and just moves you into your next whatever. So I had two from Marie Bags and Mary Ellen after 60, wanted to know all the one, Marie says she wants to know all the places that I have lived. And Mary Ellen says my favorite place that I've ever lived and favorite job. Okay. So aside from LA and Hawaii, which you already talked about, I lived in Montgomery, Alabama, which is where the Alabama Shakespeare Festival is located, and that's where I did my training. I lived in, I forget. I forgot. I lived in Claremont, California too when I went to undergrad, but that doesn't count. From there, I lived in New York, and then from New York, New York City, and then Virginia, and then back to LA. So of all the favorite places I lived, hands down, without exception, it would be New York City. Shout out to all you guys who live there. I freaking loved it. What I said about LA about not being nurturing for my soul didn't reflect me as my personality. I always felt weird here. I walked into that town and within a week I was like, okay, I get it. I know, I am home and this is going to be freaking awesome. And it was. I loved every second I was there. My favorite job, I think I probably booked while I was there, which was I went on tour for a year, touring 3 plays. I was in 2 of the 3, but it was a repertory company touring 3 shows. We went across the country. I spent a month, about 6 weeks of that was performing up in Buffalo. We also went to Bermuda, but I mean literally from Florida to Washington State and pretty much everywhere in between. It was amazing, an amazing journey, an amazing chance to meet all kinds of people and hang out with talented people that were in the company with me. And so there you go. That was my favorite job. So let's see. Okay, so from Mountain, I think it's Mountain Mishi Fit Life, wants to know what made you start your channel. I did that. How long have you been an influencer? Since 2014. And do you do your own editing? And yes, I do. And in terms of being a content creator, if number 3 on that list, out of the actual physical shooting of and processing and uploading videos, my favorite part is the editing. Because that's where sometimes you can shoot a bunch of footage and it doesn't make sense, and then you get in the editing room and suddenly you see something and it's like, oh, of course. And then, like you add music and it's like, yes, it was like, this was meant to be. This was like a miracle. It all just comes together. And so for me, because each video I try to tell some sort of story. And so you have a beginning, a middle, and end, or an intro, an outro, and and the content. And then in between that sort of formula, you can do whatever you want to do. I use, she wanted to know my software. I use Premiere from Adobe, and that's because I was able to get a free class from my union in that software, so I bought it and took the class, and now I know how to use it. But it's also it's very easy to use, although I've never used anything other than the Windows Movie Maker, and that thing just frustrated the hell out of me because there was always things that I wanted to do and I couldn't do it. But yeah, so love the editing. Okay, JKL McKenzie wants to know, what is your profession? I love how you research before educating us on beauty products and supplements. You're better than some instructors. Thank you so much. And what is your fitness routine? So, oh, we're almost done. Alrighty. Okay, so I've had many, obviously we've talked about acting. When I was in Charlottesville, I was doing writing. I was writing for a publication that provided financial news and data for institutional investors. And as an actor, I have always considered myself a teacher because I'm communicating ideas. And again, a writer, you're communicating ideas. And so that's sort of how I approach what I do here. I have always been curious ever since I was a child about life and about stuff, and like why my bangs are getting taped to my forehead. You know, I just cut them a couple of weeks ago, and they already need another cut. But okay. All right. I've always been curious and wanted to know not just what's going on. I want to know why. I want to know why certain things happen within the human body. I want to know why people behave the way they do. And so that's what I bring to you in my videos, hopefully, is not only the surface, what it is, but what's underneath that in terms of why things work the way they should be, and things that we should think about in addition to just shopping. And by the way, mega shopping haul coming up probably next week. Yeah, but you know, where we shop and why, and how things impact the environment and impact your health and your mental mood. So yeah, that's what I do here, and I hope you guys like it. You seem to, because you keep coming back, and for that I am eternally grateful. And so that's where I'm going to stop it for today. I also want to tell you that as part of my birthday month, yes, there is going to be a giveaway. I'm going to give away a $50 Amazon gift card. I will put the details as far as when the giveaway closes in the description bar. But in order to enter, I only want you to put down one thing as far as your comments go. And that is your porn star name. If you were a porn star, what would your name be? Do you remember that game? Maybe you don't, where you're supposed to like take the name of your first pet and the name of the first street that you lived on, and that becomes your porn star name. So if you want to do that, that's great. Or if you just have some fantasy name that you would give yourself if you were a porn star, I want to know what that is. My name, by the way, Gigi Gage. Is that not perfect? Gigi Gage. So yeah, that's it. So put that in the comments below and you're entered, and we will give you a winner probably the next video that goes up. So I hope you all are doing well. I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like to subscribe, that would be wonderful. I would love it if you did that. And yeah, if you want to give this video a thumbs up, I'd love that too. So, goodness, until I see you in my next video, I want to wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Take good care of yourselves, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye! And happy birthday to me. I'm going to be 65. Eee! Ugh.